the Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome to the Marketing with Purpose series of the Bliss Business Podcast, where we explore what it really takes for marketing leaders to create impact that goes beyond the numbers. I'm Michele, and in each episode, we sit down with marketing experts to explore their leadership approach and strategies that drive performance and resonate with their audience. Together, we'll dive into what's working, what's not, and how purpose and empathy can transform the way brands connect with people. Let's get started. Today, I'm joined by Anna Phillips, account executive and trusted partner to brands navigating the complexities of digital marketing. Since 2005, Anna has worked in the agency world, helping clients across a wide range of industries, making sense of online marketing by cutting through the jargon and focusing on what truly drives results. She is known for building strong client relationships and for connecting data, strategy, and execution to increase brand awareness and sales and customer growth. We're going to explore customer connection in a data-driven world and how clear communication, thoughtful strategy, and human-centered insight helps brands build relationships even in an increasingly data-driven landscape. I'm excited to dive in. Anna, before we dive in, I'd love to hear what drew you to the idea of customer connection in a data-driven world. From your perspective, working directly with clients, why does this feel especially relevant right now?
Yeah, hey Michele, and thanks again for having me on. And I think that my bio mistakenly, I think I put 2005, but it's definitely 2015. That would be kind of crazy if I had 21 years of experience. That would be since I was in elementary school. But
no.
I'll fix that. I'll fix that for next time.
That was my mistake. Apologies.
No, it's all good. That would be cool though. But yeah, like why I chose this topic, just again, from like my experience working with clients, I think that customer connection is so important. And there's so many people, like if you go on LinkedIn or even talking internally with our own team that have so much like acumen in terms of the analytics and the data. Like you had Josh on the podcast last week, who is just an expert in this proving ROI and all these calculations. And I think just out of those topics, I felt like I could better speak on the customer connection portion. So yeah, super happy to dive in and talk about this topic a little bit more.
Oh, great to hear. Working closely with clients day to day, how do you set expectations early on while leaving room to adapt as results and priorities evolve?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, I think part of setting expectations that's something that needs to be done really early on, like even during the onboarding process with the client. We want to set expectations of like, what are we going to be providing? What are the next steps? How are we gauging success? And then what are we doing if, we don't reach those metrics or et cetera. So like, again, having a really solid onboarding process is crucial to setting expectations. And then also, what else was I going to say? Yeah, just being reasonable with the expectations you set, right? Like we don't promise that they're going to like triple their sales or have some sort of crazy results, or even that we're going to be like having weekly meetings, for example, if it's maybe a smaller client. So really setting expectations that are reasonable within like the scope of what the client's looking for. And just, I guess, what's the saying? Under promise and over deliver is what we try to do.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's clear you found a really thoughtful rhythm there with client strategy as well as client relationship too. With so much performance data available, how do you decide what insights actually matter to clients versus what adds noise?
Yeah, a lot of that is really customized to each client because some agencies, they might have these really long reports with tons of data points, but at the end of the day, I've literally had clients tell me like, hey, Anna, I don't read your reports, or hey, Anna, I only look at like the email summary that you send me, and that's the most important thing. And so I ask them, what are the important metrics? And then also kind of part of that is education of figuring out what are the important metrics. If they don't know, or if they're really focusing on a top line metric, like, I don't know, clicks or impressions, then we want to be focusing on leads and lead quality. So it's really collaborative. It's really tailored to each client, no matter how large or how small. We don't want them wasting time looking at metrics or reports from us that aren't useful to them. So again, that's part of that, I would say, really solid onboarding process, getting to know the client and their preferences and their needs. And there might just be one or two metrics that are really important to them every month out of the dozens or hundreds of metrics that we could possibly report on.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure that customization is very important in the whole process, and the collaboration too, so they know that they're being heard, right?
For sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Their goals are what you're tracking. Very good. Account managers are often reacting to urgent needs while also trying to stay strategic. How do you decide when to respond quickly versus when to slow things down and rethink the approach?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a learned skill. Like when I started out a little over 10 years ago, you feel like everything is urgent. You feel like you're constantly like going to get fired by the client if you don't like get something right away or respond right away. So it's definitely years and years and years of just being in different situations and realizing that not everything can be urgent, and you're going to like burn out if you treat everything as urgent. And it's also not going to be good for the client, right? Because they're paying us to like be strategic thinkers and look at the big picture of their account and do all these things that we've said we're going to do. And we can't do those things if we're constantly kind of reacting and responding. So I think it's a mixture. It's just learning kind of what is urgent and needs to be handled by me personally now, what is semi-urgent and can be done later or delegated if possible, and then what is not urgent and we can kind of add to a list of like things that we want to talk about or think about with the client, but it's lower priority. And that can even be, if a client emails about something, maybe responding and saying, hey, this is totally understand this is important. Here's the 3 main things we have as priorities for this week right now. Is where does this fit in within that, or would this be lower on the list? And just putting that question back to them. I think actually I learned that from Josh on our team.
Sounds like
I guess that's a roundabout. Yeah, probably. So that's a roundabout way of answering that question. But that ties into, I guess, like empathy too, because if you're treating, let's say one client is emailing you a lot and you're treating that as urgent, well, then that's taking away from all the other clients that you also have a responsibility to. So that's really on us to manage that and know like what to prioritize.
Yeah, that's a really great approach. And it sounds like you're really grounded in your process, and then allows you to support all the clients, right? In the best way possible.
Yeah, it's only taken about 10 years.
Yeah, life learning is an ongoing thing. You do a fantastic job, I can say personally, with our clients. So yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Got the right approach there, Anna. When results don't meet expectations, how do you approach performance conversations in a way that keeps trust intact and the partnership moving forward?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this topic yesterday while I was on a walk, and I was thinking how, again, it's without that baseline of trust and connection, it's really hard, especially like at the beginning of a client relationship. If really early on you fail at something, or you like immediately fail at a goal or something you had promised, that's really, really hard to recover from. But I think once so you almost have to like do really well at the beginning, or it's like very risky for the client relationship. But then if it's been a year or 3 years or 5 years and you and the client know each other really well, and you have that track record of like, okay, 9 times out of 10, something has gone well, or if it hasn't, then you have a backup plan or a suggestion, or even revisiting if those expectations were reasonable to begin with, or maybe if the goals were a little too high. And yeah, they have that trust that you're going to fix it or provide like an alternate suggestion, and also that you're going to have their best interest in mind, right? So that could even be proactively recommending that they pause a certain channel or decrease their budget without them having to like project manage and ask you, even just being proactive about recommendations, I think, is a big part of that.
Yeah, I think so too. As long as you build that strong client foundation, you can weather, right, the ups and downs when or if they come. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not about being perfect and hitting expectations and doing well all the time. It's about how do you recover and communicate through that.
Agreed. Yeah. In a role that's heavily focused on deliverables, timelines, and results, how do you make space for empathy and relationship building with both clients and internal teams?
Yeah, that's tough. There's a few parts to that, I guess. So it's time management and prioritization. And this makes me think of like one of our goals our CEO Stephen had for the company, I think last quarter or a previous quarter, was just more fun. Like he wanted us to have more fun. And I think when you're just like in the weeds all the time, working, getting through your task list, you forget to like have fun. And so I'll try to do little things, whether it's like joining a company initiative that is fun for me, like doing this podcast, or I don't know, like making a joke on a client call with a client that's really buttoned up and trying to kind of like get some humor in there, or even trying to go meet up with a client in person when I can, just to have lunch and just to talk about things that aren't work related. I think that's like a part of incorporating empathy. And then also, again, just making clients feel heard. It's like, you can't make every client feel like they're the only client, because they know that like I work on other accounts and I'm not like only assigned to one account, but at least trying as much as possible to like, if they have a question or a suggestion, to like be appreciative and responsive, and to not make them feel like they're bothering me or like their idea is stupid or something like that. So yeah, just like always keeping the lines of communication open, being responsive, and that's what I can say. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Recognizing customers' emotions and responding to them in an authentic, really and caring way is huge. And yeah, I also love the fun part that Stephen has suggested. I know we do our best all to participate in those activities. They bring a lot of joy, right, into the work environment for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, Anna, thank you so much for joining us on the Marketing with Purpose series of the Bliss Business Podcast today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I hope that today's conversation sparked new ideas for how you can align strategy, execution, and purpose in your own work. If you found value in this discussion, like, subscribe, or share it to keep the conversation going. And remember, great marketing doesn't just sell, it serves. See you next time.